It's time for the Movin The Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and John Epps.
Welcome into Movin The Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps here for our Week 10 preview show. John, region titles on the line. I think I counted around 20 or so up for grabs still this week. Even more playoff seeding obviously to be decided, but does it get any better than this?
Yeah, I look at some of the schedule, especially our CONA games of the week, and they're playoff previews.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot of these teams that are playing Friday night meet again before it's all said and done.
Exactly right. Every Saturday, Sunday, I start putting together the list of our games of the week, our pick'em games. At first type, I think I typed out 25. I was like, I don't know where to pick here, but we had to narrow it down, as always, to get you guys a couple here. But we will, of course, go through the whole slate here throughout our show. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, share, comment on the video here on Facebook. We're on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS, website movinchains.com, podcast available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do our live preview show here on Tuesday nights about 7 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube. We do our recap show comes out Sundays on the podcast platforms, and our Twitter Spaces, basically our live scoreboard show Friday nights on Twitter/X. A lot of fun there to have different coaches and play-by-play guys and players hop in and talk about their game. So it's been a lot of fun to do that as well. Before we get into it, once again, Movin The Chains merch still for sale. We got a little bit left, guys. We're getting low on some beanies, especially. We got black. We got gray. The cold weather's here. Get you something for this cold weather. We got a lot of different hat options. We got some hoodie options. The hoodie, I'll tell you what, the folks that have bought it say it may be the most comfortable hoodie they have.
It
really feels really good.
Comfortable.
We got a gray. We got a white. Really good merch. Really good stuff. Check it out. mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. We got pictures on all our social media pages as well. Check that out. Support the boys. Order yours now before it gets gone. But, John, let's start now with our CONA games of the week. CONA.care for more information. 3 locations here in the upstate. The first one, an undefeated matchup here, John. Really cool to see. James Island at 9-0, traveling to Lucy Beckham. I believe they're 8-0 currently. Played a game less than James Island did. Region title on the line. James Island 38-0 over Hilton Head Island last week, averaging 43 on offense, 4 on defense per game. Lucy Beckham 35-0 over Colony County last week, averaging 44 on offense, 7 on defense per game. John, these 2 teams that have blown everybody out all year long. Big, physical, strong teams love to play defense for Coach McCoy and Coach Smith there. This is going to be a slobber knocker of a ball game.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We talked about James Island last year about how great of a defense they had. And this year it's the same story for them. Really, really good defensively. So this is really cool here. So Lucy Beckham on the season, 8 games. They played 8 games.
Yep.
4 of them, they have shut out their opponent.
Impressive.
On the other end, James Island, they've played 9 games. 5 of those opponents, they have shut out. Going to see some good defense in this game. And it's hard to – I think both of them are really, really good.
Yeah.
James Island has been a mainstay in our top 5, our poll, for the last few weeks. I think that's well-deserved, arguably the best team in 4A in the lower state. I think it's just so hard. Neither one of them's played a great team yet.
Right. That is the issue. I think you look at the schedule, there's not a high-level win for either one, I think is what worries you a little bit about this game.
It worries me a lot because if one of these teams comes across the South Florence, who knows what happens in the playoffs. But I kind of want to lean Lucy Beckham because they're at home.
Mm-hmm.
But James Island, I think I just trust them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because they were very good last year as well. They've picked up again where they left off last year, this year. But I really just honestly don't know a ton about them when they get to a big game like this. Obviously, we saw James Island. I'm not sure who knocked them out of the playoffs.
South Florence last year beat them. Yeah.
Okay. It's hard to tell what the psyche is for either one of these programs this year when they get into a big game because they really just haven't been in one.
Yeah,
they really haven't been in a close game yet this year.
I think, probably the best win, James Island. That Stratford win's not a bad win. That's a team playing for their region title this week. But Stratford's not a top 5, top 7 team in 5A for sure. So it's not the best team they play. But, James Island led on offense by quarterback Braxton Scott, running backs a Montre and a Moore Scott, wide receiver Wushy Ravenel, one of the better receivers in the state, over 2,000 career yards, one of our Super 75 guys. Defensively led by Jaden Whaley, Chris Glover, Coleman Jones. Lucy Beckham, led by quarterback Chalmers Ballard, 17 for 24 last week, 202 and 2 touchdowns. Running back Charles Bird's a playmaker. I think he had 100 yards last week on just like 12 carries. Wide receiver Henry Bros. Tight end Bryce Rothwell. He could be a game changer. I think he's a Shrine Bowl guy, really good player, really, imposing force out there for those guys out wide. Defensively led by Jackson Allison, Tyler Kinlock, and Hank Apley. What's crazy about this, John, is, James Island's been playing football a good bit longer than Lucy Beckham. Lucy Beckham's been playing, this is their second year of varsity football. I mean, that's great. This is the biggest game in Bengals history. I mean, and they're getting it at home. Biggest game in Mount Pleasant in years because Wando doesn't play any big games, obviously. I mean, no offense to Wando, but they don't. I kind of agree with you. I think we trust Lucy or trust James Island a little bit more because of what we saw them do last year as well. And just Lucy Beckham still being a new program, you do worry a little bit about depth. At some point, obviously they've overcome it all year long. But I like the Trojans. I like what Coach McCoy's doing. I think they win a close one here. Love the field goal kicker as well. They got a guy who can make one when they need it. So I think the Trojans win a close ball game.
I think so too. And touch on last year. Again, last year doesn't really have a whole lot of bearing on this year. Last year, James Island won this game 33-7.
Yep.
Lucy Beckham, good team last year too. They got knocked out by Hartsville in the first round of the playoffs. I think Lucy Beckham's going to get there because, again, this is their sophomore year as a program. I don't think they're quite there yet, whereas James Island, I think James Island has the potential to be a state title contender.
And these are two lower state 4A teams that I think are going to make a lot of noise in the playoffs. I mean, obviously, two of my favorite coaches in the state. We've had a chance to interview Jamel Smith at Lucy Beckham and Jamar McCoy at James Island. Both great guys, really get it, and they're building something special on there. But it should be a fun ball game down there in Mount Pleasant on Friday night. Our second CONA game. Actually, Jarrell, any comments on that one first before we move on?
Oh, can you hear me, first of all?
We got you, Jarrell.
Oh, yeah.
All right, good. Just had those score predictions. I threw those up there. Nothing really pressing about this game. I know Zach's excited about the big win they had, so he's going to collect.
Good to see Zach. Oh, he's calling you out already, John, for picking Chester last week.
Yeah, well, you got me good.
And there's also
Chapman and Broome. Exactly. Yeah, RJ, that's one we'll get to in a little bit. That's a big-time game for the region title there in 3A.
And I got 2 words for Nathan here. I wish.
Yeah, Jarrell had a big trip last week down to Miami. We should have seen him at the Clevelander having a good time down there on the beach. Love to have it.
Let's go
our
to the
second CONA game of the week here, guys. Another big one in the Low Country, and that's Fort Dorchester traveling to Summerville. A 6-2 Patriots team taking on the undefeated 9-0 Green Wave squad there. Region title on the line. Last week, Fort D. They were in a tight one with West Ashley, John. This game was 14-all there. They pulled away to win it 28-14, averaging 38 and 23 on the season. Quarterback Charles Watson, running backs Davian Brown, Ryan Campbell, wide receivers Multi Snyder and Monty Johnson, Camden Hawkins and Jaden Acevedo on the defensive line are good players as well. I really like Davian Brown. He's kind of an undersized back, but he's thick, he's shifty. He's a really good player there for the Patriots. Summerville, 42-38 over Ashley Ridge. They were down multiple scores in this ball game. Had, I think, a 90-plus yard drive to win it late. And overcome a miraculous night from Derek Sally Jr., who's one of the better players in the state. But huge win there for the Green Wave, averaging 50 on offense, 20 on defense. Wide receiver Yannick Smith, 2 touchdowns for the ECU commit. Quarterback Jaden Cummings, 2 touchdowns last week as well. Running back Trey Green went for $190 and 3 touchdowns. Defensively led by Rilo Mitchell, Jaden Kelly Murray, Raynard Middleton there under Coach Rafferty there in his, as he's turning this program around, John. And this is kind of a theme I think we'll get to later on in the night a few times in my prediction for this game. And that is the mental edge of things, especially in kind of the high school ranks. I kind of got bit by that with Latta Lakeview a few weeks ago, of course. But this is a game where Fort Dorchester has been the team in the Low Country for the past, 5-10 years maybe. Summerville has not been, what they used to be under Coach McKissick. I mean, they just haven't. They're trying to get back to that level. But is there any kind of, feeling from Fort Dorchester like, hey, we are the premier program. We're going to win this game. And the Summerville, are they going to have a hard time maybe overcoming that a little bit?
I think they very well could. I think the fact that, you're on that Summerville sideline, you're thinking about an undefeated season. Here's our toughest game of the year. It's for a region championship. Can they live up to the hype? And they had a tough game against Sumter early in the year. That was a big time game. This is bigger. Yeah, this is bigger. And as crazy as this sounds, I think Summerville's going to win this game because they're at home. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be the edge. But a couple of things worry me about the Green Wave. They've not played great defense last 2 games.
Yeah, last year that was their calling card, but this year it hasn't really been there, to feel like.
Yeah, the last 2 games have scared me defensively for the Green Wave. And Fort Dorchester, they may not be the same Fort D team that we've seen the last couple of years. They are very, very good. Yes. Very, very competitive. They proved that in their toughest game when they went up to the reservation and went toe-to-toe with the Indians. And that was a point in the season when Gaffney was really starting to turn the corner, I think. Mm-hmm. That was a game where Gaffney said, hey, Kay, we've got everything going for us. Staten's playing good quarterback. I think Fort D, this is going to be a really, really good game. And what I was about to say a second ago, that's, sounds crazy. I don't think it would be a terrible thing if Summerville lost this game. I think this would be kind of all right, let's take a little bit of a weight off our shoulders going into the playoffs. Okay, we didn't win region, but understand, hey, Fort D, they've been the blueprint for 5A football in the lower state. And I think if you get you find out where you need to improve before you make a playoff run, I think that could really actually help Summerville. Obviously would help Fort D because that would put them in going, hey, we can do this. We've been here before. I would not be surprised if Fort D wins this game. I think they've got the experience. They've got the confidence in themselves. I think this is probably more nerves on the Summerville sideline for this ball game Friday night. Does that make the difference? We'll see. If it doesn't, Summerville wins this game, but I think it's going to be a really, really, really good, really, really close game.
And this is something that we harped on early in the year, John, even in the preseason, where we felt like Fort Dorchester was kind of getting overlooked a little bit. Obviously, they had the big storyline with Steve LaPrade. He was out. He was back in. He was out again. With the new coach, Josh Smith, coming in, I think people kind of forgot about the Patriots. They're like, hey, they're not going to be any good. They can't play without. Osborne was gone. Exactly. They lost a lot of pieces there off of the state title contending team last year, the one lower state. People kind of, wrote them off, but they've been really solid. Their 2 losses, obviously, to Grayson and then Gaffney by a touchdown. I mean, nothing to shake your head at there. Those are two tough games there for sure. Summerville, you mentioned the Sumter game. I guess that's a test. The Carolina Forest game week 1 was a good test. I think Carolina Forest is a pretty good football team there.
Well, Ashley Ridge last week was a great test. Ashley Ridge is playing very, very good football right now. That was, that's a 42-38 ball game. I think we're going to see a very similar score. And I tell you what, I don't know if anyone in the state can jinx a ball game better than us. I say this is probably going to be a pretty high scoring ball game. It'll probably be 14-10.
Yeah.
But just from what we've seen last few weeks, I'm thinking the scoreboard will get lit up on Friday night.
I think I'm going to go Summerville because they're at home, and I trust the quarterback play a little bit more. And I know, Fort D was doing some multiple quarterbacks early in the year with Charles Watson and the Rifford kid there. I don't know if they got that settled quite yet. I like what Jaden Cummings is doing at Summerville. He's been a really good player. And obviously, Yannick Smith helps out a ton there. I'm going to go Summerville in a close one there, but this could be, it honestly could go either way. I know you don't want to say that, but it could. But I'm going to go Summerville in a close one.
Yeah, it could be who has the ball last.
Yeah.
Could be one of those games.
Any comments? We got a couple picks here. Fort Dorchester, big for John. Predictions. Pick that one. So Summerville's overrated. Cody says both teams play beach ball. LOL. Yeah, a little bit different down there. Boss man, what's going on, man? Good to have you. Strong Thurman locking up that region title last week. Big win. Corey, good having you here as always, buddy.
Beach ball. We're only on the game. Corey, we're only on the games of the week. We're going to our third one right now. Dion's got our last prediction, and we'll go to that one.
Dion's at somewhere by 14. Okay.
That would be impressive.
I like it. Looking now at our third CONA game of the week, a big one in the CSRA down in Graniteville. That's North Augusta at 7-2, heading to Midland Valley 9-0, region title on the line. This is a big game here. We actually, Jarrell and I talked to Coach Earl Chapman earlier. The interview's coming out Thursday night, I believe. He'll give us some thoughts on that Midland Valley squad that's been, so good this year, John. North Augusta beat Airport 49-15 last week. Midland Valley 56-28 over South Aiken. North Augusta 31-23 averaging, while Midland Valley is at 44-16. John, another theme here is kind of that middle edge. We talk about Fort D being the king of the low country for a long time. This one might be a little bit longer. North Augusta has beaten Midland Valley 23 years in a row. If they win this year, it's 24. That's tough to overcome. I've talked to some folks who have seen these teams play. I think that Midland Valley with Dunbar and McNair and those guys, that offensive line, big guys up front, Evan Phillips at tight end, they probably got a little better offense than what North Augusta does. I think so. I think they do too. Defensively, some folks are leaning North Augusta, the guys that I've talked to, what they're doing there for Coach Bush. But this is going to be a great ball game, and it just, another one where it's part of it's obviously physical, who's got the better team, but there's a middle aspect to it as well.
Well, and yes, I agree with that, but you know how many times Trayvon Dunbar's been beat by North Augusta?
Only one.
Yeah, and so he's not worried about the 23, and I think this Midland Valley team, and how much of that's a storyline for them, I don't know. Midland Valley is the better team. And I think Midland Valley wins, and I don't think anybody that wants to talk about 23 years, 24 years streak, I think it's probably going to be on the North Augusta side trying to pump their side up and saying, hey, we can beat them, because I think Midland Valley's the better team here. Midland Valley's better. They got I think the best player on the field is Dunbar. They've got him going for the Mustangs. This is a game I think Midland Valley wins. I don't think they're going to be too worried about the history aspect of it. They're going to go out and they're going to play their game. And what I've been so impressed with Midland Valley this year is, man, they've had some tough games. They've played some teams that, South Aiken, I felt like was playing better at the end of the year. Blew them out last week. And they played Sean Thurman early in the year. Beat them. I know North Augusta beat them too. Mm-hmm. I understand that. They've just been winning games. They're winners, right? Yeah, this year they're winners. I think they continue Friday and they win this game too. They're the better team. They certainly should.
Midland Valley last week, Trayvon Dunbar, 9 carries, 313, 4 touchdowns. Unreal there. Preston McNair went 11 for 93, 4 touchdowns as well. Well, we talked about it, they don't ask the quarterback to do a whole lot, so he doesn't have to really there. Defensively, they're really big up front on the D line. Led on defense by Hawkins and Morgan and Hosey Dukes and Jaden Simpkins. A good squad there for sure. North Augusta led by quarterback Corey Tillman, running back Mike Doe, tight end Evan Waldauer, wide receiver Connor Brown, running back athlete Beans Hunt, defensively Cam Jackson, DeAndre Baskett, and could be a plus here for the North Augusta. Really good kicker Jack Stevens. His brother Drew Stevens now at Iowa. So it runs in the family there, sure, with the Stevens down at North Augusta. But I think we talk about who's beaten who. I think North Augusta's played a little bit tougher schedule. They played Dorman. They played Dutch Fork. They played Greenwood. And they still played them. They still played them. So that's something there. So I think I want to lean Midland Valley. I think they kind of overcome that edge there. Like I said, I think they're better on offense. North Augusta maybe a little better on defense. With Midland Valley, they want to run the ball. That's what they're going to do. On defense, they're going to kind of play some coverage, some bend but don't break. Can Coach Bush, North Augusta, be patient and kind of work on it that way? We'll see. I'm going to go Midland Valley in a 7 to 10 point game at home, I think, because that atmosphere too, probably the biggest game they've had in 20, 25 years at home.
For sure. Should
be a great crowd there in Graniteville. So I'm going to go Midland Valley in this ball game.
Me too.
Any comments, Trell, on this one?
Oh, yeah, we got comments
says,
on this one.
Valley by 14. Dunbar going for 200.
That would do it.
Michael says, both overrated, no chance in 4A.
I love it.
Zach says, talking a lot in the group at that one. Yes, they are. This is a big-time game, man. A huge matchup. Dion says, McNair for 200 as well. John says North Augusta 19-14. John predictions, that is. Bossman says Midland Valley by 2 touchdowns. Chris says North Augusta by 1. They play Sean Thurman tougher than Midland Valley. Michael says going to come down to secondary, not rushing.
Okay.
Certainly could. Zach, 9 carries for 313. Unreal from Trayvon last week.
And then we just got some general comments. Got Derek in here.
Derek, good to see you. I mean, that's right. Yeah, we'll hold on for the playoffs.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. Courtney, good to have you in here. BHP, big game this week against Wren for the region title.
That'll be a fun one.
Question here.
Cody, so we just talked about Lucy Beckham, James Island, Summerville, Fort D, and then now North Augusta, Midland Valley so far.
Of course, we got Dadrian.
Dadrian, good to have you in here, man. Louisville also playing a region title game this week, so we'll see how that one goes down for the Lions. They should be a heavy, heavy favorite. Looking now at our 4th CONA game of the week. Always a big game, no matter what the records are, especially this year, John. That's the Byrnes Rebels and the Gaffney Indians. Byrnes at 8-1, traveling to the reservation. Gaffney at 7-2. Region title on the line here in this one. Byrnes put off a bye. You gotta like that for the Rebels there. They had some injury problems coming into this game. Not sure who's back and who's not, but getting an extra week of prep has got to be big. Got to be big for them. Quarterback Andrew Stevens, quarterback Trey Segura, the freshman's been a really good player for them. Watching for Ethan Parthens. Obviously, everybody knows the athletes. Camarius Bomar, Monty Weaver, 2 of the best athletes in the state, really, and just juniors as well. Defensively led by Chris Foster, James Oates. RJ Livingston had a broken, I think, forearm a couple weeks back. I know there's a rumor that he might be back around the playoffs. I don't know if he's back yet or not. We'll see about that. But if he is, that would be huge for them. Gaffney won 29-14 over Dorman, averaging 32 and 23. Last week, Riley State may have played his best game as an Indian.
And he's been on this trajectory all year, really.
Looked a lot better throwing the ball and running the ball there for them last week. We know Jaden McDowell, what he can do. Last week was 28 for 155. He can also catch a lot of the backfield. Receivers, Littlejohn, Medley Smith, defense led by Rupp, Ratchford, and Putnam. This is a big-time ball game, John. I tell you what scares me about Byrnes. It kind of has all year. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just at some point it's going to bite you. They keep pulling out wins late in the game. At some point, you're not going to do that, right?
Yeah. And that's what scares me too about Byrnes. They have had these close calls last few weeks against teams they're better than Boiling Springs, Dorman, Gaffney. On the other hand, what I've been impressed with Gaffney, you talk about Staten. He has. It took him a few games, I feel like, to get the chemistry, and that's fine. That happens. That's anybody. Now he seems to be clicking, and it's not like he's had a bad year. He's thrown for over 2,000 yards already.
Yeah,
he's having a great season. But the defense, we know the Gaffney defense is good, but they've been actually playing really good the last few weeks as well. You get 14 Spartanburg, knocked off Boiling Springs 17-7, and then Dorman gave it 14. Defense is playing pretty solid right now, more so than I think they were early in the year, like against Fort D, like even against South Point even. I think the fact that this game is at the reservation, you got Staten is playing probably his best football of the year right now. And, Byrnes has just been getting by. Gaffney at the reservation is not a team you can just get by. Because Gaffney, they win those close games at home. They've been doing it. That's the, what they call it over the typical Gaffney fashion. They find a way to win the ball game. And I think we're going to see something very similar Friday night. I think we're going to see a very close game where Byrnes probably has every opportunity to win the game as Gaffney does, but Gaffney's going to make a play here or there, probably on defense, to win the ball game.
Looking back at that Spartanburg game for Byrnes, you had the James Oates, pick 6 there to really seal that one. That was a huge play. And then the both brings a win. The overtime game, you have Camarius Bomar making an outstanding play to knock away a ball in overtime. Last week, Dorman, 2 weeks ago, Dorman's got you on the ropes. You get a kickoff return from Bomar to really, kind of ignite your team there. Can you rely on that all year, to beat Gaffney? I don't know. I'm going to lean Gaffney. Obviously, it's always a heavyweight fight. Going to be a great matchup, as every Region 2 5A game is here. I'm going to take Gaffney to win this ball game.
Yeah, this is one of the best rivalries in the state. But the best thing for both of these teams are, no matter what happens Friday, you're going to be a big-time favorite come playoff time in the upper state. Both of these teams, I think, are going to be right there.
Yeah, ETP's got Gaffney losing by 4 to Byrnes there. That's what's good for them too, John, is that whoever loses this game is still going to be the 2 seed. So they'll get home games in the playoffs. Love to see that, but should be a great matchup on Friday. Drill, any comments on this one in the chat? Got Byrnes by 14 from Wanda. Cody says Gaffney 35 to either 17 or 21.
Ooh.
John, who has Byrnes played this year per Gaffney.
Look at the region.
Yeah.
That region didn't get much better than that.
ETP says Byrnes takes the dub. Dion says Gaffney by 10. Corey says Byrnes by a point. That'll be an all-time ball game there.
Just a little shout out from other podcasts.
Got a podcast out of North Carolina. Awesome. We'll check you out, my man. Anything else, Jarrell?
That's all we got here. Let's go to the next one.
Oh, Jarrell, you there? We don't hardly hear you.
Uh-oh. Can you guys? You got me now?
We got you now. We got you now.
All right. Yep. That's it here. Let's go to the next one.
Perfect. Our next CONA game of the week, our SCISA game of the week, a 7-1 Holly Hill squad traveling to Jefferson Davis at 9-1. These teams actually played earlier in the year, John. Jefferson Davis won a close one, 28-22. Holly Hill went off a 42-8 win over Holy Trinity, averaging 48 on offense, 19 on defense. They've got a new head coach, Andy Palmer, but they've won 3 state titles in a row. I mean, that's tradition right there for those guys. Running back Tyree James is an electric playmaker, always a big threat in the return game as well. Quarterback Ashton Souls, right over Jody Gillum for them. JDA, 48-14 over Faith Christian, 40-14 averaging on the season. They played Colson load hold at quarterback for a while. Now they're moving to Paxton Wall and put load hold more at receiver and running back because he's such a good athlete. Throwing it more at Wall now. We're back. Nazir Voigt's a good player for them, along with James Grubbs. Defense led by Fickling, Payen, and Zorn. John, does JDA win another game against these guys, or can Holly Hill get off the mat? Because I think, honestly, John, these are probably the 2 best teams in 8, man. They're probably going to match up again for the state title.
I like Jefferson Davis at home. I think I know they say, hey, it's hard to win. Well, they say, hey, it's hard to beat a team twice in 1 year. I think they got it, especially being at home. And another little comment here for Loadholt. He's got 6 picks on defense, too, this year.
Yeah.
Guys all over the field. I like Jefferson Davis in this one a lot because they are at home. And, hey, they know how to do it. They've done it before.
Yeah, I'm going to take actually Holly Hill here. I think they've been playing really good football lately. I think it's going to be a close ball game again within a score, I think, just like we saw the first one. But I'm going to go with HHA here in a close ball game. Any comments on that one, Jarrell, here on our SCISA CONA game of the week?
We do not. Let's wrap these up.
Jarrell, anything? I think I heard I saw a comment from Mike.
Jarrell's booking his next Miami trip.
Yeah. Jarrell, we got you? We don't have Jarrell. Okay. Jarrell, if you got any comments for us, pop them up. If not, let's give a shout out to our friends of the program. Or do we
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
Okay, Jarrell, any comments on our CONA games of the week before we look at now at the 5A slate?
You guys can hear me now?
We got you now.
Perfect. I don't know what's going on here. Did not see anything pertaining to those specifically.
I know I saw one comment from Michael, I don't know if you saw it or not, about Holly Hill, how they got so small. Yeah, well, growing up, they were always a much bigger school, Michael. Not sure just the area, just people grew away from it or what, but they are down to 8-man football now. Have lost a lot of students over there for sure. So hate to see that as always. But let's take a look now, John, at the 5A slate. If you guys have a team you want to ask about, feel free to do it. We're going to try to give a couple maybe playoff updates as far as what this means for region if we can as we go through it, but we'll see what we can do.
Starting in the Low Country, Cane Bay will go to Berkeley. Chapin is hosting River Bluff. Sumter goes to Conway. Dutch Fork hosting Lexington.
That's a game. I think the winner of that gets that 2 seed in that region. That's big there. You'll get a home playoff game going to the upper state. I think Dutch Fork is a little bit better. They're still not a really good football team, but they're better than what they were earlier in the year. I think the Silver Foxes win that one.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit better than Lexington as well. Both of these teams have not had the season that they want to have, But you know what? If you get the win Friday night, you can start over going into playoffs. And even though Dutch Fork has not been great this year, nobody's going to take them lightly in the playoffs.
Exactly right.
They're going to be a very, very tough out for everyone. Nation Fort will go to Fort Mill. Talked about this one of our CONA games of the week. Byrnes at Gaffney. Stratford will be at Goose Creek.
That's another region title on the line. You know, Goose Creek has not lost in the region over the last 2 years. Stratford, I think, does have one loss, but if they win it, this ball game, I think it'll make a 3-way tie there. See how that tiebreaker works out. But that's a big game there. I think Goose Creek wins. But that is some serious stuff on the line.
Yeah, it's pretty cool for Goose Creek to have that kind of region record here the last 2 years. I think they win this game at home Friday as well. Here's a sneaky good ball game here. JL Mann will be at Hillcrest.
That's for the 2 seed in the playoffs. Winner of that gets a home game. And I'll tell you what, looking at the bracket, I think you want to be the 2 seed out of that region. Obviously, you get the home game, but the little quad that you get put in is a lot better than if you're coming out of that 3 seed. So that's a big one there. I think the Rams win it. I think we could see some points in this ball game. I like what Hillcrest is doing. They play good defense all year as well, which is really impressive. Also, we'll give a shout out to one of our players. Avery McFadden became the Hillcrest all-time touchdown leader and receiving yards leader in the win over Malden last week. So one of the, really cool, the favorite players we've had to watch the last couple of years. Had the pleasure of doing so. Congrats to him on those great accomplishments. And I think Hillcrest, should win this ball game.
I think so too. And I want to see Hillcrest play a complete game. They're going to have to do that against JL Mann. JL Mann's going to be tough. Woodmont will be at Malden.
That's for a playoff spot there. I think Woodmont's going to be a favorite. Malden hadn't won a game this year.
And they're
struggling.
Blown out a lot.
Yep.
I think Woodmont takes care of Malden in that one. Clover will be at Rock Hill. Pretty big game here.
Region title on the line over at District 3 Stadium. When's the last time we said that for Rock Hill instead of Northwestern, right?
Years.
Big win, last week over Blackwood for Rock Hill. Clover taking care of business as well. Set up a big matchup. First year head coach Perry Woolbright's got the Blue Eagles rolling. I think they've won 7 in a row after they lost, I think, a couple early there. Rock Hill playing great with Malik Clark and Matthew Wilson there for Coach Bubba. I think Clover wins this game. He's got a few more athletes in this one, but that'll be a fun ball game. Loser goes that 2 seed, still gets a home playoff game.
Yeah, I think a great thing for both of these teams. Cool to see Rock Hill getting back into the playoffs, being competitive again. I agree with you. I think Clover wins this game. I think they're a little bit better than Rock Hill, but hey, District 3, you saw it last Friday.
Yeah.
It's quite the atmosphere.
Yes, it is.
It's a tough place to go into and get a win. Wanda will go to Socastee. Dormant goes to Spartanburg.
This one gets really interesting now because currently there are, I think, 3 teams in Region 2 Valley with 1 win. Actually, Spartanburg might not have a region win. Actually, if I'm correct. Yeah, they're 0-3. Dormant has 1 region win. So does Boiling Springs. Spartanburg has to win, I think, to get a guaranteed spot there. I think, honestly, with the way the at-large stuff works, I think whoever finishes that 5th spot, whether it's Dormant, Boiling Springs, or Spartanburg, will get an at-large bid into the playoffs. But you want to take care of business, of course. Spartanburg, the offense just bit them all year long. I mean, looking at this, when they play somebody with a pulse, they just don't score, John.
Yeah. And, they've been competitive all year because of that defense. But offensively, they just haven't quite had it. I think this is a game they should win at home.
Yeah.
But, Dormant, obviously, they have not been they've been a little bit of a step down than what they typically are. They lost a lot from that team last year, so you understand that. Spartanburg, Coach Hodge still building that program up, still early on his tenure there with Spartanburg. But, yeah, I think Spartanburg wins this game, but I think it's going to be a big defensive game. And it's, neither one of these teams have been really clutch, especially in region play.
Yeah, Dorman's been frisky. They came back and made it close with Byrnes late. Couldn't get the 2-point conversion, couldn't get it done there. Beat Boiling Springs in a close matchup, but just did not be able to have really a big win this year, I would say.
Yeah. I like Spartanburg in this game.
Same.
But I don't feel super confident in that pick.
Actually, I'm going to take Dorman. I like I think they got a few more playmakers on offense, which is crazy to say. You would think going into the year, but I think the Cavs win a close one here.
Moving on, we'll have Blythewood at Spring Valley. Carolina Forest will go to St. James. Ashley Ridge is at RB Stall, and we talked about one of our CONA games of the week. Fort Dorchester at number 1 Summerville. That will be a really, really big ball game. We talked about in the first segment there.
Yep. Drell, any comments on the 5A slate we need to address before we look down to the next class?
Nothing specifically, but I did want to hit these comments. That's the one you were talking about with Michael.
Yeah, Michael said I think people have moved away from the area, man. It's become a kind of a smaller SCISA school for sure.
Terrence, we're going to get to 2A here shortly.
Yeah, another region title. Huge win for Barnwell over Woodland on Monday, a game that got postponed, I guess, or delayed at the half on Friday. Had to come back on Monday, come back and win that game. Huge win for the Warhorses. Hampton County continues to roll.
Didn't want
Wanda, a Dixie fan. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, they are playing, they played tough last couple years. Love what they're doing there. T says TJ Williams, $125 away from 1,000. I think he gets it this week. He's been really good this year for that offense. Caleb, good to see you, man, as always. Chad, what's up, man? I'm sure you're excited for that big Fort D game this week.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That's what he's asking about. We already covered
did,
it,
yeah. So that was one of our CONA games of the week. If you missed it, you can go back and listen to it at the beginning of the show when we get done here. It's one of the first couple games we talk about. Robert, good to have you in here, man. Dylan is rolling right now, playing good football as they always do this time of year.
Yes, they do.
All right, guys, let's go down to 4A.
Perfect. Let's look back down at the 4A slate now, John.
We'll have Northwestern. We'll go Catawba Ridge.
Northwestern, I said it on the recap show, John, after seeing them in person, and we've kind of said this all year. They might be the best team in the state. I'm pretty sure they are. Actually, they are legit athletes everywhere. The defense is underrated. Everybody talks about Turbo Richard, Finley Polk, and those guys. The defensive line has some young guys that really get after it, and the secondary as well. Gave South Point nothing all night long. Lock those receivers up. They're really good. I want to give a shout out again to Coach Walford and Coach Hunt and those guys, the new AD, Caleb Gaither, for having us out there. Appreciate those guys. Had a great time at D3 as always, and look forward to getting back there hopefully in the playoffs. But Northwestern will roll this game. They're playing great football right now.
Yeah, that's what they did at South Point is very impressive because there's a lot of athletes and a lot of talent on that South Point sideline as well.
Most points ever scored against South Point.
Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
That's impressive. Yeah, I believe it. That's impressive.
Yep.
Bluffton will go to Colleton County. Wade Hampton is at Eastside. Greenville hosting Easley.
How about Greenville last week? Put it on Greenwood, a team that we were, kind of high on even after a loss to Westside. Greenville, I think, was up 41-0 in the second quarter. Blew those guys out. They're getting healthy at the right time. Easily not a bad football team, but Greenville too much for those guys.
Yeah, Greenville rather might be peaking at the right time here.
Yep.
Pickens will be at Greenwood. Greenwood will try to recover from that one. I think they do on Friday night. Riverside goes to Greer.
This is a game for the region title as well. Greer at 3-0, Riverside 2-1. The winner of this wins that title there. Greer has been really good outside of, those first couple games where they played some bigger schools like a Byrnes and whatnot, some of those bigger guys. They played great football since then. Riverside's been kind of up and down. Had a couple weird losses, I felt like, earlier in the year. I think Greer wins this one led by LaDainian Martin on the ground.
And they're at home. They're
Yep,
under the water tower for this one. Wilson will go to Hartsville. May River is at Hilton Head. Lancaster goes to Indian Land. Talk about one of our CONA games of the week. Lucy Beckham hosting James Island. Big time game there. Irmo goes to Lugoff Elgin.
Irmo, a team that we just haven't talked a ton about lately because they haven't had the biggest game. They kind of dominated their region. They dominated everybody all year long. Really good team, man. We saw them in person against Hartsville earlier in the year. Very physical, very imposing. A lot of big guys there for Coach Brand. I think A.J. Brand, I saw a stat, the quarterback for them, 40 touchdowns this year, combined running and throwing. No turnovers. That might be more impressive there. So they're playing great football. Got to be one of the favorites in lower state 4A.
Yeah, they've already wrapped up their region titles, so they've got basically it's kind of practice a little bit for them on Friday night.
Yep.
Another CONA game of the week: North Augusta at Midland Valley. The Mustangs will try to break that 23
year currently,
against North Augusta. I think it happens Friday. North Myrtle Beach will be at Myrtle Beach. Great rivalry there on the Grand Strand. Myrtle Beach, I think, wins this one.
They're playing good football.
AC Flora will go to Ridgeview. Aiken is at South Aiken. York goes to South Point.
That's for second place in that region in a home game. That's a big ball game. York has been playing kind of under the radar this year, I feel like, but they've been a good football team. They're 7-2. Their only loss, in region is to Northwestern, playing great football there. South Point, can they pick up the pieces after last week? I kind of think South Point loses again.
I think they win, but I think this game's going to be really close.
Yeah.
I think people that have not been paying attention to York are going to be surprised at the way this game goes down. I think this will be a pretty close game. South Florence will go to West Florence.
Another great rivalry game. We saw this in person last year where both teams were undefeated. We're wild to say. West Florence has been worrying me. I thought they were playing better football. Got the doors blown up by Hartsville last week. Maybe that says more about Hartsville. Maybe the Red Foxes are getting healthy at the right time. I don't know. I was surprised how that one went down. Throw out the record books in this one, but you still got to lean South Florence by a couple scores here.
Yeah, I don't see this game actually being very close. I think South Florence kind of does whatever they want in this one. It will be at West Florence, but South Florence, they're just too good for this one. Berea will be at Westside, and Richland Northeast will go to Westwood.
Drill, any 4A comments before we look down at the 3A slate?
We got a mixed bag here. We got championship predictions, all kinds of stuff here.
The Western 4A state champs, they're certainly one of the favorites. Texas Hartsville's getting healthy. Yeah, I look at that score, like I said last week, it's West Florence. Surprisingly, how bad they beat them. The Red Foxes are looking good. Of course, it's South Florence 4A state champs. Okay. Matt says Northwestern Irmo playing for that one. Could certainly see it. Skylar says, love the show. Appreciate you, Skylar. South Florence playing great football. South Aiken big for Dion.
I can believe it.
And that's it for 4A. Let's roll to 3, guys.
Let's do it.
All right, 3A. Philip Simmons is going to try to bounce back. They go to Battery Creek Friday night. Brooklyn Casey hosting Gilbert.
Another region title on the line in this one. Gilbert undefeated. I feel like they're kind of flying under the radar too, John. I know we haven't had them even, I think, in our poll all year in 3. Even though they've been undefeated, we saw them play in person. Drake Braddock, I really like the quarterback, a North-South guy. He's really good. The running back, they've been playing Trayvon Williamson, a freshman lately, because they've had some injuries with Jalen J and whatnot. Got some good tight ends. Obviously, the defense has got some good players, including the Shrine Bowler there for them. Brooklyn Casey, a team that's getting better and better. Will Young, a Shrine Bowl guy, is a really dynamic athlete at receiver. They put him kind of in a Wildcats. We'll let him run the ball there. Coach Sharpie does a great job. And what's crazy about Brooklyn Casey, they get better because one thing that he likes to do is he plays guys both ways. A lot of teams in 3A don't want to do that. He likes doing that. So with that said, they kind of start out kind of slow because you just, it's hot out. You're getting tired. You don't have the stamina. You get more and more used to it. You get the colder weather. They get better as the season goes along. Brooklyn Casey down at, not the old cage, the new cage, whatever you want to call it, still a tough place to play. I'm going to go Gilbert here in a close one. I think Braddock makes just enough plays through the air, but I think that'll be a really fun ball game in the 3A ranks.
I think BC's going to be a good team come playoff time. I think they can make some moves there. I think Gilbert's too tough. Yep. Gilbert's just they got too much talent, and they're just good all around. They're good all around. It helps that this game is in BC.
Yep.
But I think Gilbert's the better team here and takes this game. Big game in the upstate. Broome going to Chapman. Broome, another team that's kind of flown under the radar. They are a really, really good team. Excellent running back for the Centurions. Chapman, on the other hand, they're one of my favorite teams in 3A this year. They can really ball. Talk about, there's the question, hey, who has Byrnes played this year? Unfortunately, they played Chapman. And it didn't go the way they thought it would go. Chapman's a really, really good team. This one in Chapman. I don't know. I'm glad we don't have to pick this game because I don't know who I would pick. I think I'd go Chapman because they're at home, but I think Broome's got the best player on the football field.
Another region title on the line here. You mentioned Chapman. They've got one loss. They lost to Bowling Springs. Broome one loss. They lost to Spartanburg by a point. Went for 2. Didn't get it late. Both these teams are 3-0, so the loser will still get the second seed, get a home playoff game even if they lose this one. I think I trust the quarterback play a little bit more at Chapman, especially at home. Coleman Gray, they're playing great for them. Rashawn Cunningham's a stud out wide. Matthias Scott running the ball is a good player for Coach Cab as well. But Broome, you can't overlook them. I mean, they've had good defense, good offense as well. Jalen McGill. I'm gonna go Chapman in a close one at home there for the Panthers.
I like it. We'll have Lakewood. We'll go to Crestwood.
Crestwood, man, we got to give them a shout out for that big win last week over Camden. Came from behind. This game was suspended in the fourth quarter due to lightning for a while. Had to come back out and win the ball game there. That's off to Coach Nelson's squad. I think Camden hadn't lost a region game in 4 years until that one. So great for the Knights there to get that win.
Crescent will go to Daniel. Darlington hosting Lake City. Dreer will be hosting Lower Richland. Clinton goes to Emerald. Dillon will go to Georgetown. Hanahan hosting Beaufort. Sneaky good game there.
Region title on the line. Hanahan struggled some early in the year, but they played really good in region. They took down a good Philip Simmons squad last week, and it really wasn't as close as the score was. Excuse me there. They were up big and let them hit a couple big plays, onside kick and whatnot, but Hanahan's playing great. Beaufort's playing great. I know Jimmy's a big fan. I'm sure he'll be there at that one. I think Hanahan's just rolling right now, John. I think they win this game.
I think so too. I think Buford makes it up. I think it's a very competitive ball game. But Hanahan, they're just playing great football right now.
Kayvon Rivera, just a battering ram, a bowling ball there, carrying the ball for the Hawks. I think they win this one.
Former player of the week for us this year.
Yes.
Ainer will go to Loris. Marlborough County hosting Camden. Palmetto will be hosting Powdersville. Fountain Inn goes to Southside. Swansea at home against Orangeburg Wilkinson. Travelers Rest will host Blue Ridge. Woodruff goes to Union. Waccamaw hosting Manning. Walhalla at home against Pendleton. West Oak at home against Seneca. And then Belton Honeypath going to Wren, trying to close out that region. These, in my opinion, these are the two best teams in this region this year. I think it's going to be a closer ball game than what people are expecting. But I do think BHP wins this game maybe by 10.
Both teams undefeated in the region, so the loser will get still a home playoff game with the 2 seed in that region. Wren, big win over Powdersville last week. BHP just been kind of on cruise control. 2 teams that want to run the ball a lot. I think Wren threw the ball maybe like 4 times last week. 100+ from Reese Price on the ground, the running back. 100+. I think he had 199. The quarterback Colton Bagwell did. He really gets it done as well. And obviously, we know Marquise Henderson for BHP, what he wants to do there. One of the best backs in the state, electric playmaker. I think BHP wins a close one here, John. Wren's been kind of an upstart, kind of caught some folks by surprise, it feels like almost. I think BHP just a little too much talent. Whichever defense can make a stop might be the winner, or it could just be because somebody hit a big pass play. Could be that too.
And that Wren defense has been pretty solid this year. But I think it's just, we see what Marquise Henderson has done all year. And, his stat lines are, 3 carries for 120 yards. I think he gets more than 10 carries on Friday. But the problem for Wren is you give him 10, 15 carries, he's going to bust a few of them.
He's electric. He's electric.
And that's going to be a problem. If you give up 2 big touchdowns to Henderson and only 2 more, the rest of the game, well, I don't know that, that's going to be enough to win the game. I think the BHP defense is good enough to keep Wren under 30. And I think BHP's got a good chance to score 30 just because of Henderson on their side. I think they win this game. I'm going to say somewhere in the 35 to 21 range.
Drell, any 3A comments here before we look down at the 2A slate? Jesse says, Clinton goes to Emerald, Devils should roll. Yeah, they're playing great football. That was a huge win last week. The defense played lights out, giving up 6 points, and that came late for them. They were playing great. Great stat from Nathan here. Daniel going for 5 straight unbeaten regular seasons. Did not know that, but I guess when you think about it, they don't lose to anybody. So awesome there. I think they get it quite easily on Friday. Courtney says BHP's not playing around. Exactly right. They've been smashing folks this year. RJ says chat mission game of the week. Yeah, like I said, RJ, if you missed at the beginning of the show, like I wrote out, we could have had 15 of these guys. Didn't want to, fill the game of games of the week, but that is certainly a big one.
I think that was our 5th game, 5th or 6th game.
Yeah.
We talked about there's a 1A game we'll talk about too that was I think just really, in my opinion, really, RJ, I think this 1A game we're going to talk about a little bit, it's a little bit bigger.
Could be.
But this is up there. I mean, this is arguably top 5 game in the state.
You got to give a shout out to Kevron. It's always joining us. So.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate you, Kevron. Thanks for hopping in as always, my man.
And
there we go.
Yeah.
Gray off this week at the bye before the playoffs next week, John.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how that IMG trip, how that felt. I think the result was probably expected, but I hope they had a good time and hope they hope they come away with some memories they can take with them for a long time.
Right, so let's go Crestwood. Yeah, region champs. I think they have a good shot to make a run to Orangeburg for sure, the lower states.
Oh, yes. Very much.
Let's go to 2A, guys.
Looking down at 2A now.
Abbeville will host 96. This is a decent ball game. 96.
It's a region title on the line again.
96 a lot better this year. Abbeville's better.
Mm-hmm.
Abbeville should win this game, but it's good to see this being a region title game.
Both teams 8-1, so whoever loses, will still host a playoff game if they're undefeated in regions for the 1 and 2 seed here in this one. Abbeville, like we said, kind of was off a little bit early in the year. It felt like, would play a bad first half, good second half, et cetera. Couldn't really put a full game together. 96, they keep finding ways to win. They win a lot of close games, John. Yeah, certainly do for Coach Bennett there. He's got those guys believing. Braden Mitchell, a really good player for them. Zay King as well as a stud there. Abbeville, I think just too much firepower, and they've been there before. I mean, they know how to win. They expect to win the region title. I think the Panthers roll with Jay Hill and Case and Norman, all those guys there. Altavius Patterson, Jay Harris, defensive line, Demarius Leach there. I think the Panthers win this one.
And they're at home, too.
Yep.
Bishop England will go to Academic Magnet. Buford at Andrew Jackson. Hampton County goes to Barnwell. Big-time game here as well.
Region title on the line here with that big Barnwell win over Woodland on Monday. This puts them right into, a contention spot for that region title. Hampton County has been a team that has been really impressive this year. Their one loss, I think, is to Brooklyn Casey, which is, we talked about earlier, is a good football team, of course. Barnwell started off slow. They're getting better and better. Obviously we know Cam Austin, the quarterback's a great player for them. Jaquan Peoples has stepped up as a running back. That's really giving them some burst there. I think Hampton County with Zion Dobson, a little too much firepower there for Coach Hannah's squad. Should be a fun game, especially at Barnwell. Great atmosphere, great place to play. I'm going to go Hurricanes in a close one.
I like Hampton County this game. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be very competitive. I don't know that they're going to win by 4 touchdowns, but Hampton County is really good.
Yeah,
really good, but I don't think it's going to be that kind of a blowout. We'll see Chesterfield go to Sherrall. Liberty will be at Chesney. Mid Carolina goes to Eau Claire. Woodland is at Edisto. Strom Thurmond at Fox Creek. Gray will go. Is Gray going to play Keenan?
Gray, no, they're not playing Keenan. No. Keenan's not going to play them. Is more like it, I guess.
Okay. Blacksburg will be at Landrum. King Street goes to Lee Central.
I believe that game is for second place in that region. Trying to look it up right now. Actually, sorry, Andrews has second place locked. This is for third place in the region. Big ball game there. 2 really pretty good 2A squads.
Mullins will go to Marion.
The Tobacco Bowl, 6 o'clock on Friday. Always a big one. Marion's probably going to name their score in this one. Mullins just not very good this year. Swamp Foxes are rolling, playing really good football for Coach Hennessy.
Good news for Mullins. Xavier Leggett having a great season for the Gamecocks, though.
That's true.
Fairfield Central will go to Newberry.
This is for second place in that region. That's a big seed there. You want to win this game. Both their losses in region have been to Gray, where they forfeited. Outside of that, Coach Jeter's Newberry squad's a young team getting better and better. You saw Fairfield Central firsthand what they could do there with Cam McMillan and those guys. Where do you lean in this ball game, John?
I like Fairfield Central in this game. McMillan's a very good player, and Fairfield Central is a physical team. And what I like is they don't just have a couple of guys that are really good. They tackle well, and their secondary is really good. That's something that I feel like you don't see that a whole lot in high school football. You see a lot of teams, pound the ball, run. You don't see a whole lot of teams air it out.
Yeah.
But so the secondaries don't get tested a ton, right? Fairfield Central, they got a really good secondary too. They're solid, very solid on defense, and they've got some good playmakers. And McMillan's a really good player just in his own right on the offensive side. I think you put that together. I like Fairfield Central to win this game.
And I love Tadarius Greer, a really good athlete for them too, offense and defense. He's a great player there for Fairfield Central. Let's go look at the next 2A game.
Central at Pageland will go to North Central. Timberland is at Oceanside. Lake Marion goes to Ridgeland Hardyville.
Timberland Oceanside doing it. That's a region title game as well. Timberland's been really good. They lost a couple tough games, I think, to Berkeley earlier by a point. Lost another game by a score. Playing really good since that point. Oceanside, they're rolling. We had our interview with Chad Wilkes drop on Monday. Check that out. He talks about, they're winning games. I think they're 6-2 right now, but he's not really pleased with the way they've been playing. He's like, I know we can play better. So interesting to see if they get it figured out this week. He was very complimentary of Timberland. Said they've got some really good athletes, really good passing game right now. That'll be a fun game. I like Oceanside. I think their defense is really strong this year. I think the Land Sharks win one at home.
And I think the closer and better talent that Oceanside plays, I think that team will wake up a little bit more for Coach Wilkes. Lake Marion will be at Ridgeland Hardyville. Batesburg-Leesville goes to Saluda.
This game could cause some issues here. If Batesburg-Leesville wins this one, that would put Saluda, Silver Bluff, and Batesburg-Leesville all with 2 losses in the region there. Not sure what the region tiebreaker is exactly, but that would be a 3-way tie for second place. Could really throw the whole bracket for a mess if that happens on Friday.
And I think from one of our viewers a few weeks ago, I think there's points involved in that tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to matter. I think Saluda wins this game, especially being at home. I like the Tigers to win this one. And then Silver Bluff will close it out at home against Pelion.
They need a win. Did not play great last week against Strom Thurmond. They have not looked very good lately. But any other comments, Jarrell, on the 2A list? Vicksburg with the upset, says Michael. Certainly could happen. They had 2 games in a row. They've won here. Dion says saluted by 3. Bossman says Hampton County by 5 touchdowns are vulnerable. Hey, Hampton County, we thought they were going to play Woodland tough and blew those guys out too. So who really knows? Yeah. Jimmy says he loves Hampton County, have a chance to win a state title. Yeah, 2A lower state I think is wide open right now. They got a shot for sure. Dion says Revs by 30. Strom Thurmond is rolling, no doubt about it. Jesse says Coach Byrnes did a great job in year 196. He certainly has. Turned that program around, got them believing. I don't think they're quite enough for this week, but we shall see. Corey says Marion Mullins at 6 o'clock. Yep, on Friday. Joe said had a blast at IMG. That's awesome, man. Great experience those kids down there at IMG.
Yep, that's all the 2A comments I got right now. You guys want to kick it to 1A or hear this from the sponsors?
Let's go ahead and knock out 1A right quick.
All right, going into 1A. Estill will go to Allendale Fairfax.
They will not. Estill, yeah, no longer a team. We got an outdated schedule there. Not sure how Allendale Fairfax is playing this week.
St. John's will go to Baptist Hill. Branchville going Bethune-Bowman. Cross is at Burke.
Cross, a team that's played really good, since the beginning of the year. A team that we don't talk a lot about, but they've been continuously winning ball games. The Trojans are going to be a tough squad in the playoffs.
They did this last year. They came on strong at the end of the year last year as well. Wagner Sally goes to Calhoun County.
Big win for Wagner Sally last week. That really kind of muddies up that playoff picture, I think, there. Every team in that region has a loss already. Could have some major effects this week, depending on what happens, how these games shake out.
Dixie goes to Calhoun Falls.
We had a Dixie fan in here earlier. I think Dixie and Calhoun Falls, 2 teams, I believe, that are already in the playoffs. Calhoun Falls making it the first time in a long time. That should be a fun ball game there. Dixie's got 2 region wins. Calhoun Falls, 1 region win. I like Dixie, the Green Hornets, a little bit more in this one, but should be a fun ball game.
Scotch Branch will go to East Clarendon. Latta at Green Sea Floyd's. Lakeview goes to Hannah Pamplico. Hemingway's at Johnsonville. Louisville hosting McBee to close out that awesome regular season that they've had.
Also, region title on the line, technically in this one. McBee undefeated in the region along with Louisville there. I think the Lions are the much better football team. Nothing against McBee. I think Louisville is just that good, blowing everybody. I think they scored maybe the most points in their program history with 74 last week. I think I may have seen that. Deidre, you can correct me if not. I think that's what I heard somewhere. They went for those guys, averaging 49 on offense, giving up 4 on defense there. Played great all season long for Coach Bullware there with Grissom and whatnot. And it was really cool to hear 65-6 he's picking. Yeah, it certainly could be. Michael mentioned Chad Wilkes on from Oceanside earlier this week. He was talking about how, it was really cool to see Coach Bullware at Louisville reach out to him to try to schedule that ball game. He's like, Coach Bullware, they're not scared to play charters. He's like, they want to get their program better and better. He reached out to Coach Wilkes Oceanside to play that game in week 0. Glad to see that happening. Coach Bullware wants to make that program, give it to that top level, and they are certainly on the way. I think Louisville rolls.
And I think that's helped the Louisville program to start the season off with that game too.
Show you what to work on,
Exactly.
Diaz says Louisville by 50. Yeah, certainly could happen.
St. Joseph's will be at McCormick. Hunter Kenner Tyler will go to Rich Spring Minetta. Big time game here. Southside Christian hosting Christ Church. These are 2 really, really good 1A teams facing off here. We say it every year, it feels like, with these 2.
Yeah, region title on the line. Christ Church, the big win over St. Joe's last week. Southside Christian beat them a couple weeks back. Playing, over at Southside Christian, obviously that favors the Sabres there. But I love what the Cavs are doing for Coach Hatfield. They've been coming along. They had a new quarterback, Tucker Hendricks, this year. He's played better and better this season. We had a 300-plus yard passing game last week. Jackson Rep had 200-plus, 2 touchdowns. They took away the run. St. Joe's did last week against Christ Church. They threw it more, and they're able to do so, which is great to see. We saw them in week 0. Couldn't really get the passing game going, but now they're playing better and better. You got to mention Deshaun Reeder, another one of the best backs in the state. Yeah. I think Christ Church wins this ball game and a close one over Coach Sonneborn's squad.
I'm going to go Southside. Where Shoals will go to Thornwell. This is the big game in 1A, really the big one. Bamberg Earhart going to Whale Branch.
Yes.
A Bamberg team that is your standard Bamberg Earhart team. Whale Branch having an awesome season in their own right. I've been very high on Whale Branch. I think they win this game. I think it's going to be super, super good game. And I think it's going to be pretty low scoring as well.
Well Branch, undefeated, only played 7 games though this year, but they're 3-0 in the region. Bamberg 8-1, 3-0 in the region. They're one loss to Denmark Olar, earlier in the season. But they play some tough teams. They play Blackville Hilda. They play some really good squads outside of that loss there. Both teams pretty close. Bamberg 39 on offense, 9 on defense. Well Branch 49 on offense, 9 on defense as well. I think we know more about Bamberg Earhart just because they played more teams. We know Chancellor Crosby and Anthony Williams and those guys for Coach Crosby. They're playing great football. Well Branch, we know about the Chisholm kid there. But I think Bamberg seems to be a more known commodity right now to me. But these are 2 really good football teams, 2 certainly 1A contenders here. But I'm going to go with the Red Raiders in a tight ball game.
And I think that's the safe, smart pick. I want to have a little bit more fun with it. That's why I'm going to go Will Branch.
I love it. Dion says Bamberg by 3.
And then our final 2 games, C.A. Johnson goes to Whitmire, and Denmark Olar will go to Williston Elko.
Perfect. Drell, any comments on 1A? Matt says he's picking Christchurch. Dion says Christchurch by 7. Jimmy says, Will Branch, the team he likes a lot. They could certainly make some noise in Low Country 1A. We think they will. Wanda says Dixie by 22.
Like it.
Go Hornets. Yeah, they're playing good football right now. Derek says, Derek, good to see me. Hey, tough loss to Lamar. Lamar's really good this year for Lakeview. It was a tough loss last week for Lakeview. They'll be fine in the playoffs. They'll be okay. They'll make some noise for sure.
That's all we got right now, and we'll keep moving.
Perfect. Looking down at the SCISA slate, John Paul travels to Wilson Hall. Heathwood Hall travels to Hammond. Lawrence Academy travels to Richard Wynn. Camden Military goes to Ben Lippin. Williamsburg goes to Carolina. Trinity Collegiate goes to Lawrence Main. Lawrence Main is playing really good football right now. Had maybe the second or third best team in 4A right now. The Swamp Cats are for Coach First, playing great. Colin Prep, winner of our game of the week last week, John. They played Palmetto Christian. They're playing great football for Cole Davis, who's got a torn ACL. I think ran for like $180 last week, 4 touchdowns, torn ACL, playing great football there for the Warhawks. Thomas Sumter going to Dillon Christian. Thomas Hayward going to Patrick Henry. That's a big-time matchup there. Patrick Henry, their lone loss a few weeks back. They really turned around, had the big comeback win over Branchville. I think Patrick Henry wins this game in a close one this week. Augusta Christian going to Cardinal Newman. Cardinal Newman, tough loss last week to Porter Guy. Didn't see that coming. Augusta Christian won an overtime game over Ben Lippin. I think the Cardinal Newman squad gets back on track under Coach Helms there. Faith Christian at Conway Christian. Northside Christian at Spartanburg Christian. St. John's at Clarendon Hall. Wardlaw at King Academy. PD Academy at Florence Christian. A rematch of last year's 3A state title game, John. Got to give a shout-out to the Golden Eagles. If you guys haven't seen the play, they won on a walk-off free kick last Thursday night, a play you never see. Awesome awareness by the coaching staff there to know the rule book and know you could do that. I'm going to try to write a blog about that in the next couple of days, kind of explain what happened. But they kick a 40-yard free kick, no rush, just a nuts play. You never see anything like it. They beat Northwood last week by a point. They got a big one at Florence Christian this week. First Baptist at Portergoud, Oak Brook Prep at Newberry Academy, Hilton Head Christian to Hilton Head Prep. I actually think Hilton Head Prep may have forfeited the game. We'll check on that. Bethesda at Beaufort, Calhoun at Dorchester, Pinewood Prep at Northwood Academy. Pinewood Prep won 6 in a row since losing that first 3, John. Coach Holland's got that squad rolling right now. Kings Academy at Lee Academy and Greenwood Christian at Orangeburg Prep. Drew, any other comments here before we give a shout out to our friends of the program?
Nothing at the moment, so we will go ahead and do that.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net.
Well, let's take a look now, guys. I guess what will be our last poll of the regular season. We'll probably do one more, I guess, after the season's over, our final rankings. Yeah. But this is who we like heading into the postseason drill. Do you want to start with the lower classes or the higher classes?
Let's go ahead and just start up top. Let's do it that way.
5A, Summerville still in first place there. Second place, White Knoll. Third, Byrnes. Fourth, Teal-Hanna. Fifth, Gaffney. Also, a few votes, Hillcrest. Could see a lot of shakeup this week, depending on what happens at Byrnes Gaffney game, what happens at Summerville game as well. 5A will be a lot of fun. You know, there's teams that we say it every week. Every team I think has a weakness. It feels like in 5A almost. Yeah, it's hard to really figure out who you want to put where. You know, I was thought about ranking Fort D a couple times. I mean, even Ashley Ridge after the loss, the way they played this team, you had to take a look at. Carolina Forest playing great football right now, but I think we got a solid 5 up there. Looking at it 4A, Northwestern still in first place, South Florence second, James Island third, Irmo fourth, Midland Valley in fifth. I don't think we'll see a whole lot of shake up there. Obviously, James Island could fall to Lucy Beckham this week. Midland Valley could fall, but I think they're both favorites in 4A.
It blows my mind. I looked at the prep media poll today. I don't understand how Northwestern is number 2. South Florence is great.
They're looking at the record, John.
Really,
looking at the record,
really
John.
I know that South Florence is good. I saw them play. They're great. I'm not picking South Florence against Northwestern. I'm sorry. They are really, really. We're talking about a team that dismantled Gaffney, blew out South Point, they're in the record books with South Point now.
Yeah.
Most points that South Point's ever given up. And they're number 2.
Yeah. Not in our poll.
No,
not in our poll.
They have been number 2 in our poll in a long time.
Yeah. Looking down at 3A, we got Belton Honeypath in actually a tie for first. Belton Honeypath and Daniel. BXP 2 first place votes. Daniel 1. Third, Dylan. Fourth, Crestwood. Fifth, Chapman. Also receiving votes, Broome and Gilbert in 3A. We think that might be the deepest class, guys. I mean, it's tough to really put in 5. As you'll see, is we had 2 guys receiving votes in that class. So 3A is going to be a lot of fun. I looked at Clinton after the big win last week. Move bump Clinton in there. Hanahan, even though they've got not a great record, they're making a case with that big win over Philip Simmons last week as well. Playing great football there in the 3A ranks. Down in 2A, Gray Collegiate stays in first, Sean Thurman in second. Oceanside, third, Abbeville, fourth, Hampton County, fifth, also receiving votes, Marion. Very interesting to see how this Hampton County game turns out against Barnwell. I think they win this one, but we'll see how it'll turn out. Show us a lot about them. The same thing with Oceanside and Timberland, a team that we haven't seen much from Oceanside lately because they haven't played a tough region schedule. It's not their fault. It's just how the region shakes out, but we should see how that ball game goes. In 1A, Louisville, Bamberg, Southside Christian, Christchurch, and Whale Branch. Also receiving votes, Calhoun County. We've got a 2-5 matchup, John, and then also a 3. Is that a 3-4 matchup as well, Joe? Pop it back up for a second. Yeah, 3-4 Southside Christian, Christchurch as well. A lot of really good 1A games this week.
Really good stuff.
Any comments from you, John, from you, Jarrell, on these 1A through 5A polls?
I do want to say we talk about how 3A is probably the deepest class we have. I think 2A is probably the class that we know not the least about, but with these top 5 teams, I think I had the biggest I don't know with those 5 teams.
Yeah.
If they meet, and inevitably some of them will meet in the playoffs, what's going to happen? Gray just hasn't played a whole lot of competition in state. Oceanside hasn't had a super tough schedule. Strom Thurman looks like they are world beaters right now. Mm-hmm. You can never count out Abbeville. And then Hampton County when they played a big game, boy, they have put their foot on the gas too. I mean, that is, to me, that's the biggest unknown one as we go into the playoffs.
You talk about that. You can look and see just the way that Strom Thurman has ascended in our rankings. They weren't even in our rankings probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now they're number 2 all of a sudden.
They demanded it.
2A is a mess. Tough one to figure out for sure.
Yeah, I think 1A too. I think 1A is going to be really deep and tough to talk about because, again, we haven't ranked Lamar all year.
Yeah,
I still think like that whole region, Latta's good, Lakeview's good, HKT's good. We haven't talked about Cross much this year, Calhoun County. I think 1A is also going to be a dogfight, much like 3A.
Yep, I agree with you on that. Any comments on those polls, real before we look at the SCISA polls right quick?
Let me toggle over and see if we got anything that's pertinent. No, nothing really there. So we'll go to the SCISA polls now.
Perfect. Looking now at the SCISA rankings. We've got 4A, Hammond, Lawrence Manning, Porter-Gaul, Cardinal Newman, and Ben Lippin. You see Cardinal Newman slipping the last couple of weeks with a couple losses to Hammond and Porter-Gaul. They're down to that 4 spot now. In 3A, Hilton Air Christian, Pinewood Prep, Florence Christian, Wilson Hall, and PD Academy. They make their first appearance this year in the poll, but Hilton Air Christian's playing great football in 3A along with Pinewood Prep in the 3A ranks. In 2A, Williamsburg, Bethesda, Collin Prep. Back to 2A. There we go.
Sorry.
Williamsburg, Bethesda, Collin Prep, Buford Academy, Greenwood, Christian. Bethesda undefeated on the year. Hadn't talked a ton about them. They play Buford this week. See how that ball game goes. In 1A, Thomas Hayward, Dorchester, Patrick Henry, Lee, and Clarendon. 8-man, Jefferson, Davis, and Holly Hill will score off this week. Then Richard Wynn, who beat Warlaw by 8 last week, and then Faith Christian in that 5th slot. Drill, any other comments you need to address about anything in general before we look at our pick 'em from last week?
let's go ahead and roll to the pick 'em results from week 9.
Coming down to the wire, guys, in week 9, we had 4 folks with 10, Brandon, Pat, Reese, and Corey. Also, John and I with 10 as well.
Good week for us.
We had a lot of folks with 9, about 20 or so, and then Jarrell with 8 as well. A great week in the pick 'em for everybody. Week 9 was a lot of fun. And now look at the overall. Chase H has a 2-game lead, guys, going into the last week here, 76. We got Peyton and Dale at 74, Andrew at 73. I'm at 73, John and Jarrell at 71. Will be a lot of fun to see what happens here in week 10. We've got a lot of games I think that could go either way.
Oh, for sure. A lot of big-time headliner games that they're going to be tough for me to pick. Well, I actually made my picks today, but they're few of them are pretty tough to pick.
Our pick brought to you by Hannah Engineering, as always. If you guys missed out on the regular season, we will do one for the playoffs as well. So hop into that starting, I guess, next week. So join us for that. It's been a lot of fun to do all season long. It's a great way to keep up with teams outside of your area or outside of town, outside of your region. So really fun to do that. Want to shout out our players of the week brought to you by Georgia Agency. Open enrollment's here, guys. 11/1 that starts up. So next Wednesday, give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call at georgiaagency.net for those guys. If you need group insurance for your business, or if you need, personal insurance, maybe you're a seasonal worker or whatever your company doesn't offer insurance, give them a call. Check them out at georgiaagency.net. We had Avery McFadden, Hillcrest, like I mentioned, becoming the all-time touchdown and receiving yards leader for the Rams. I'll say with the big game of Malden. Hats off to him. Jackson Rep at Christchurch, 200+ through the air, 2 touchdowns as well. And then our third player of the week, J.J. Flood at Porter-Gaud. Big game, 200+ on the ground in the win over Cardinal Newman.
Big win for them.
It certainly was. That was what they did. I think that was a Thursday night game as well. I don't think we're going to have any games moved this week, guys. So that's a plus.
Yeah, it should be great weather. It's going to be kind of hot again, which I have no problem with that. It's going to be, probably across the state, high 70s, low mid 80s. It's high. So it should be a great night to get out to a game, see some region championships become more finalized. Well, they're all going to become finalized.
Yeah.
They're already finalized. And then we get to talk playoffs and really get to have some fun.
Yeah, as you see on the screen there, we got our merch right now. Get your hat, get your beanie, your toboggan, get your hoodies. Get ready for the cold weather. Support the boys. This helps us make the show better and better. As you guys can tell who've been with us for a long time, we got a lot better equipment than we used to, and this is what helps us get that stuff. Hoping you guys will support us. Get your hoodies, your white one, your gray one. Looks really good. Everybody I talked to loves the way the hoodie feels. Like the inside feels great. It's very comfortable. Get you one now. mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. Pictures on all our social media pages. Certainly do that. Appreciate you guys as always tuning in. As you can tell, I think we're all a little bit under the weather. Kind of our Michael Jordan flu game here tonight. Maybe I'm not feeling great. John's coughing. Jarrell's coughing back there. We're all struggling. Appreciate you guys hanging in there with us. It's been a lot of fun, as it is every week. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do our live preview show on Tuesday nights about 7 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube. Preview all the games. We do our recap show on Sundays on the podcast platforms. Our Friday night spaces on Twitter /X, the scoreboard show. Tune in for that. Excuse me. Like I mentioned, the Chad Wilkes interview came out Monday from Oceanside Collegiate. Great to hear from him. We've got interview with Earl Chapman, Midland Valley head coach, coming out Thursday before their big game in North Augusta. Definitely want to tune in for that. A lot of really good stuff. I got to talk to Jarrell and John offline to figure out what we're going to do for the playoffs next week. If we just want to go round by round and what we're going to do, we'll figure that out as we go. But will be a great week as always here in week 10. John, any final thoughts?
I am really – there's a handful of games I'm really excited about, but now I've gotten to the point, and we can do this. I can do this. I can get too excited and go, I'm ready for playoffs. I'm ready for playoffs. Talking about all these classes, and it's been so much fun to see different names, different schools up there. I'm ready to get see how some of these games go Friday. And then I'm really getting excited about what that bracket's going to look like.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We've got an idea of kind of where a lot of these spots are going to be, but there's still a lot to be decided on Friday. MSSC Youth Reservation. We certainly might. Not sure where we're going yet Friday. That is certainly an option. Caleb says come to Louisville. That's a big game as well. Courtney says come to the Wren game.
Wren game would be good too.
There's a lot of big ones. A lot of big ones across the state. No doubt about it. Drew, any thoughts from you on this Week 10 slate?
Oh, no, just really excited about Week 10. I'm really sad, though. It's bittersweet. We're coming to the end of the regular season. We worked, so hard. It's 11 weeks. It's not long enough. But really excited about the playoffs. But Also, too, I got this. We got Coach Chapman coming in. That is
yes,
gonna be
yeah,
awesome.
great interview.
Please,
Really good guy. What he's doing there, he's turning that program around. It'll be a great one you want to tune in for sure.
most definitely. Please tune into that. But yeah, I'm really excited about this weekend. I don't know where we're gonna go Friday, so y'all keep sending in recommendations. Maybe throw some food wrecks in there with it. So we'll see.
Ooh, yeah, throw in some food wrecks, throw some recommendations, buy some merch as well as always. Appreciate you, Kurt, for tuning in as always. Enjoy
Thanks.
you, and thank you for doing that. Like I said, not sure where we're going to be yet. We will certainly keep an eye out. And if you guys are just, if you missed a part of the show, you can always go back and listen to it. We got our games lead beginning of the show. We've got our class by class breakdown early on. You get to check it out after the show is over. Appreciate
Thanks,
you,
Ryan.
Ryan, for tuning in as always. Always a good time and good to hear from you during the program. But for Jarrell Hendricks and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Week 10 preview show. Moving the Chains, as always, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. And we will catch you guys soon.